Hi, guys, and welcome to the Marc the Shark MMA show. Appreciate you guys watching me here on my Twitch channel. And don't forget, please follow me. If you happen to have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free. And also make sure you follow me on my social media accounts, including the Marc the Shark MMA show, YouTube channel, the Marc the Shark MMA show, Facebook channel. My Twitch channel is Marc BJJ Fighter. And my Instagram is Marc_Retorto. And don't forget, it's Marc with a C and not a K. And don't forget to visit the website where you can sign up to be a guest, you can sign up to become a sponsor, or you can shop. Get fabulous hoodies and t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right here. Not too shabby, right? And also you can make a donation. And also don't forget that I also have a podcast that comes out either on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Podbean, pretty much everywhere. I have a new episode that comes out every Friday or Sunday, depending on how the week goes. And then I'll be here on Twitch every Saturday, so make sure you watch me every single Saturday on this channel. All right, guys, stay tuned and watch the show and enjoy it.
All right, guys, we're back on the Marc the Shark MMA show. Today we got Zane along with Master Stephen Lynn, who happens to be at his restaurant. So before we get started talking about last night's fight between Woodley and Gilbert Burns, let's give a quick shout out to Steve to give a shout out about your restaurant to everybody on the show. You're in Rockaway, right?
That's correct. Chase Chicken in Rockaway.
Yeah. So if you guys are into some good chicken, and you happen to live in the Rockaway area, New Jersey, stop by and check it out. So now back to the subject matter at hand between so what did you guys think of last night's fight? Particularly, I only caught the main event. Steve, I know you probably watched the whole thing, so you could probably give more details on it. I don't know if you want to start with the go right to the main event, or if you wanted to start with like McKenzie or something, or
yeah. I saw the McKenzie fight. So
yeah, that one was by submission. So what were your thoughts on that one?
She was actually struggling a lot in the first 2 minutes. I think I'm not. Do you know if she's a wrestler? I don't think she really has any wrestling background, right? Or judo. She did hit a good Ushimata, but I remember she was having a lot of problems clinching up and kind of basically taking the fight into her realm in the beginning. So
yeah, but the fight ended in the first round, right? I believe.
Eventually, she managed to get into she got into a leg lock position, but she wasn't. I mean, like I said, she was kind of struggling with the grappling in the first few minutes. I think that in her previous fights, that's actually kind of been the case, right? She usually has a little bit of issues taking the other girl down.
Yeah, I would understand it, especially in today's world. You would think that more of these jiu-jitsu players would focus more on the wrestling. You got to get the fight to the ground. That's your
most of them do. Right? Most of them do these days. Like Maya has really good wrestling.
Maya's one of the
Burns Gilbert Burns actually took down Tyrone Woodley twice in their fight. So the wrestling is there. The wrestling is there, but McKenzie seems to be the one person that's really specialized. So
yeah, but I think she has a background in judo, if I'm not mistaken, because I think her father is a black belt in judo.
Yeah,
so that's probably why she tried that Uchimata that you were referring to.
She actually got the Uchimata eventually, but like I said, she had a lot of problems initially, just really working the clinch. Yeah. When she was there, she got the leg lock position. Everyone's doing that these days, and then she got that knee bar. So
yeah, that's cool.
Marc, as far as Mackenzie Dern, she's been so incredibly dominant in the jiu-jitsu world, where she probably has been so comfortable just saying, "Oh, this is going to be my go-to world. I can just, I could just train in the other arts and just to be well-rounded." But I think she's starting to realize that at this elite level, as she moves up the ladder, she has to be great everywhere. She just can't be great on the ground, and that has helped her definitely. She's able to do maybe a half-ass takedown, and like as soon as she gets her hands around like a leg or something, when she goes to the ground, she's usually fine. But the past 2 or 3 fights, I think she lost her last fight. I mean, she won this one, but I'm almost positive she lost her last fight. Was that right?
Let me look it up really quick.
I think she might have, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she lost to someone who was pretty dominant on the feet, and she even though she's and even Mackenzie Dern has said in the past her stand up was horrible, where she would punch and kind of look away. It was very elementary, and even though it's getting better, she's got to put more time in the gym on her, like you guys said, her wrestling has to be sharper, quicker, stronger. She has to know what she's doing to get them to the ground better. And she's got to learn how to really stick that jab and move. She's got to learn how to not kind of like just raise her head up and just leave her chin out there. She's going to get knocked out. But, I mean, obviously she's a great fighter, but I do feel that the major hole in her game is, not sticking her chin out there, not just running into a punch, and knowing how to use her strength. She's probably got a lot of strength in a punch. She's got to know how to throw it right.
Yeah.
She was actually getting muscled around a little bit. That's the thing. So I thought she'd be more kind of physically dominant, especially with all that jiu-jitsu and grappling experience. But that other girl was actually kind of moving her around the octagon, was kind of shrugging her off. So that's why I surprised
Really?
me. Yeah.
And then what did you think? Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's okay, Mark. I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't know how much time you wanted to talk about this particular fight. But I remember Kat Zingaro. She was talking about Mackenzie Dern. I think it was like she fought her a couple of years ago in a jiu-jitsu tournament. And, even now Kat Zingaro is good, but even she was able to take her down pretty much at will. So as far as the things that I feel that she should work on, definitely the stand-up and just the wrestling. The wrestling has got to be there. If she was, if she really raised her game in those two areas, then I can see, giving her, we'll probably get into a title shot. But right now, I don't know if she really has it, if she has all the tools necessary.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Now, Steve, what do you think of that other fight with Roosevelt Roberts and Brooke Weaver? Because that looked like that was another submission win. Oh, in the second round, though, this time.
Which one? Let me look it up.
The Roosevelt fight. Roosevelt Roberts versus Brooke Weaver. Roosevelt Roberts won by.
I only caught. Yeah, I caught the ending of that fight, the rear naked choke. But I didn't actually see most of it. There's another good fight right after that. Billy Quarantino versus Spike.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Basically, it was a black belt BJJ Billy fighting this guy who was I don't think he was a wrestler. He was just a really strong guy. He was able to Billy the jiu-jitsu guy was actually able to control him for a lot of fight. But the other guy was just like had this massive strength advantage. He actually got caught in the triangle chokes a few times, and to defend against it, he would just pull straight out.
Oh, really?
He would just like pull out of it. So I mean, obviously, this is like the second, third round, so there was no gi. They're wet, but just being able to see that kind of like show strength without really not doing the escape in the technical way. That was for me. I was surprised that could be pulled up at the UFC level. So,
wow, that's crazy.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now getting back to the main card with Tyrone Woodley, I caught that because I was like busy watching a movie with my kids. But I wanted to catch the UFC fights. When I turned it on, it was right to the main event. So I just started with that. I'll watch the rest of it later. But yeah, I was very disappointed in Tyrone Woodley, man. I don't know if he's injured or he just felt. I mean, it's a little different when you're in the ring, right? It's so much easier to judge when you're outside the ring. So I don't know, like if he was in there and he just felt something from Gilbert Burns.
I think Woodley. It's when I saw him. When I saw him go against the Wonder Boy, or I saw him go against other fighters around that time, he seems to do well when there's no pressure. But when he went up against the champion, there was always pressure. They were in your face. And if he's going up against somebody who's comparable in size and strength, and someone who's going to, put the pressure on, Woodley does not do well there. Woodley likes to explode and then take break. explode, and then take a break. But I think it was, from what I understand, it was, and it could have been a long layoff, and he could have just had, he was relying on what he used to rely on, which was his speed and strength, but that doesn't last very long. So, Steve, you could tell me more. I don't know what your opinion is on that fight.
Yeah, you were actually. I know you said you didn't see the fight, but the way you described it, that's actually exactly what happened. Woodley had for most of the time. It was he had his back against the fence. It was Gilbert that was in his face advancing the entire time. He actually, in the first round, he actually got dropped immediately, and then I think Gilbert actually had mount on him for the first about 3 minutes. And I think after that, I think he was a little bit what's the word, gun shy. He knew this is a guy that
he got hammered that first round.
He knew this is a guy that had power. He knew this is a guy that Gilbert was just as athletic, just explosive, has the same power that he does. So I think once he felt that power, he was very hesitant for the rest of the round. And he was our friend was saying, there's definitely a very typical Tyrone Woodley fight where he would explode for short bursts, but then for maybe about 89% of the time, he was kind of hang back, let the other person advance, let the other person push him against the fence. And it just happened over the course of 5 rounds. And then when you fight like that, the judges are going to see it. The judges are going to see that you're on the defensive. You're the one who's getting backed up. You're the one who was taking I got dropped. He got dropped twice, actually, and was taken down. Even with all his wrestling credentials, the jiu-jitsu guy actually took him down twice. So when you see that over the course of 5 rounds, there's no way you can do anything but lose a unanimous decision, which is what happened.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, if he was, if his camp actually prepared him, had some kind of game plan, and then when he went in there, it just went out the window. It's a little different when you're in the ring with the person, Like, you could be in the ring with the person, you do all the training, and then something throws you off with the guy that you're fighting. And then whatever your game plan goes out the door.
That's an excellent point to bring up. I think that some fighters are a little bit more they're able to handle that stress of, okay, things are not going my way. Let me listen to my coaches and not lose their cool, or just kind of not really give up, but they just lose track, and it's hard for them to focus, or it's hard for them to have that motivation to just change things and do what they're instructed to do. So that I think that's a great point to bring up, Mark. There's some fighters who you see, like Justin Gaethje, making those adjustments, and then some fighters they just can't seem to bring themselves to listen to their coaches, who have that outside view.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the more explosive fighters that are kind of rely on their athleticism and their power, they tend to kind of be more of those type of people. Once they see that they can't land that one big punch or get that dominant, takedowns over and over again, that's when they start kind of mentally falling apart. They don't really have a plan B to fall back on. Even if their coaches are giving them alternatives to change the game plan up in the middle of the fight, they're so used to just being able to impose their plan A that when they have to use plan B, they're just not really able to make that mental shift. So,
yes.
So
Steve,
now, do you think it's the coach's fault, or do you think it's the fighter's fault?
I think it's a combination. I think with Steve, and I agree so much on what Steve was saying, that, take a look at someone that is maybe similar to Tyrone Woodley, somebody I was thinking of in a couple of years ago, Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans, he was, when he first came in, primarily a wrestler, a lot of strength there. And then later on, he got, great stand-up. But there were certain guys that Rashad Evans was just not able to handle. If Rashad Evans was not able to land that big takedown or to hit him with his big bombs, like Steve was saying, there are certain fighters that are very 1 or 2 dimensional, and just if they don't have their 1 or 2 big setups that they can rely on, where if they're getting outmatched by something that is a strength of theirs, it just seems to be very difficult for them to switch. It just seems like even Rashad Evans, I remember one time at an interview, he was saying that, I don't understand. It used to be so easy. And it's because a lot of fighters, like every couple of years, they cross-train or they train a certain way, where now those strengths that those older UFC fighters who are so dominant, they just can't rely on just that one or two things anymore. It's getting a lot more difficult to be great.
I mean, you used Rashad Evans as your example. Actually, I think I have a better one. I think Brock Lesnar is probably that's the one person I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Even what I read is that even when he was even before MMA, when he was doing wrestling college, what I heard is that if he couldn't get his big double leg right off the match, a lot of times he tended to kind of he would mentally check out. A guy that he couldn't double leg right away. And yeah, you see that on his UFC. You saw his UFC fights, right? There was a person, Cain Velasquez, a person who could match him wrestling wise, or even Shane Carwin when he couldn't take him down in the first round. He just kind of shows up, throws up, and then eventually that's it. Sometimes he can come back like he did in that Shane fight, but a lot of times if he couldn't get that take that wrestling game off, then it was over for him. So
yeah, I wonder if there's a way that trainers can help the fighters with that.
Steve looks like he's deep into business and a meeting. Guy never sleeps. He never sleeps.
He's hard. He's hard work. He's a hard worker, man. Yeah, especially now. This is it. And as everybody can see, because of the coronavirus, he's wearing a mask and everything. So
I have to respect Steve. Even he's wearing his mask even when people are not in the store. There are even sometimes I go into, which I've allowed myself to go to certain other places, and you have 4 people wearing a mask, and then there's just one person that's not wearing a mask. I'm like, how could you not be wearing a mask? And I can see already, just from his restaurant, how immaculate it is. It's clean. He's keeping it to a small crew, maybe just himself and one other guy. Like, there are some people that own places that are not doing that. So I have to give you a compliment on how you're choosing to run your business.
Yeah. So remember, guys, if you're in the Rockaway area and you want a good chicken meal, stop by Steve's place. Steve, what's the name of it again?
Cheese chicken.
Cheese chicken. Yeah.
Cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on Route 46, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see a sign if you're in the Rockaway area on Route 46. He's got a billboard sign up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think is next for Tyrone Woodley? He's obviously he's definitely not advancing.
I think they might give him this is my guess. I think they're gonna give him Colby next. I know that's a fight that's been brewing for a while. And now I think Colby's coming off a loss as well. So that seems kind of the logical matchup for me.
I think he's going to have a really tough time with Colby, because Colby was able to match Usman, the champion, for a long time. Even though Usman was getting the better of him, it was a close fight for a long time. And I have to say, even though I don't like Colby Covington, the guy has stamina. He's got power. He's got stamina. I mean, he can walk the walk. It's just that he wasn't, able to beat the champion. But, the guy's good. And I think that I think what we were talking about before, Woodley's he's got to change up his camp. He's got to decide to say, I've been relying on certain things too much, and I got to be able to train where I'm going to go and go and go. And if Woodley can turn around and say, I'm going to put the pressure on instead of being, lay back and just kind of pick my punches, if he can put the pressure on people and not be afraid to engage, I think, he would be unstoppable again. I remember when he knocked out, what's the other guy?
Lawler.
No, not even Lawler. He knocked out somebody else. It was another African American. Koscheck. And Koscheck was someone who was able to, for the most part, put the pressure on, and he had a lot of power, great takedowns. But then he got beat by Woodley. Like, that was one of the big fights that kind of made Woodley in his career, and then he started to step up. If he's able to train where he can where he has the stamina round after round to put the pressure on and not get tired, that's what he needs to do. And then I think the Colby Covington fight would be a great fight for him, because I think he's got a lot of power. He just didn't distribute it.
Now, aren't they both isn't Woodley with American Top Team?
Yeah. Woodley's American Top Team.
And Woodley too, right?
No. Borders is with Hard Knocks 365. That's the team that Black. Do you remember Black Zillions?
Yep.
They changed. They
Yeah.
broke off and did their own thing.
Yeah. Hard Knocks 365. Yeah.
Now, do you think
Nope.
Tyrone should change camps?
Well, I
I'm
don't know
wondering if
about
he should go back to his
camps.
wrestling roots. That's what I'm wondering. 'Cause
Well,
I don't even see him
my thing is
playing
this.
wrestling.
I'm not saying that he has to change it. In my opinion, I don't think he has to change a camp, but sometimes fighters do. That's just the way it is. But I just feel that if Tyrone Woodley can somehow change his training where he's going to allow himself to be able to put the pressure and go for broke, continue, not where he has to just swing for the fences, but where he's not using all his power in every punch like Gaethje, where he's going to just put the pressure, back him up, cut off the ring, and start throwing punches, not just 2-3 at a time or one at a time. And he's got to also incorporate, his kicks and just mix it up. But it's got to be a constant threat. If Woodley can be a constant threat, he's got so much power. I don't think anybody would want to fight him. But he's, he allows people to set up. He allows people to get out. He allows people to move around. And you can't, as a UFC champ, which he was, you got to get in their face constantly.
Yeah, I remember you were mentioning before that Tyrone tends to struggle against fighters that are in his face. Kobe's definitely going to be in his face. About Lawler and Newark actually.
You guys still there?
Nullified just because Kobe was just like clinching him, grinding him down the entire time. That Lawler couldn't really get off any of his big punches. I mean, I think Kobe would do the same thing to Woodley. He just kind of nullify him, wear him down to the point power, and then those big.
It's still Kobe would be a great, but I don't think it's a good match. That even though, he wants to come back, even though Woodley wants to come back now and into it, I just think that he's got to change up his routine. He's got to change his way of fighting, and I don't think it would be a very huge adjustment. I just think it's a comfort issue where some fighters are just so comfortable doing what they've been doing, and they really don't want to put the time and energy into changing or at least making those difficult those minor adjustments that will make him that much more of a threat. I was even saying I don't know if he has the frame. He just seems very, very muscular. I don't know if he would want to just cut down to 155 and see how that works. But
I don't think he could make it lightweight. That's good.
Yeah, I think he struggles. I think he struggles to make 170.
Yep. I'm guessing he probably walks close to 200, just based on his frame, the way he looks. So 155. I think unless he basically turns himself into I don't know, like a starving.
Well, maybe,
unless he
What if he went up? If he went up to 185, does he have now he just doesn't have to cut weight. He could just be himself, and he probably weighs about 185, 190 normal.
Yeah, but then he'll be finding guys that are cutting down from 210. So he's kind of stuck,
Well, maybe would he have to be as fast going up? So maybe he wouldn't have to worry too much about the constant attack or the speed. I don't know if that would help or not.
It might help his cardio. I know there's actually been a trend of kind of guys moving back up in weight class, right? Like Dawson Rose on 170. I think those Angelos moved back to 170, and they can be okay at those higher weight classes. So maybe there's an argument that can maybe be made for him to move up,
And Zane, I was right. Remember when I said that I thought this Gilbert went up a weight class? I was right. He was lightweight.
He was
lightweight before this.
Yeah.
And I tell you, he's got a lot of size for an ex-lightweight.
Yeah. It was all muscle. Like, he didn't gain any fat. I was like, wow. And I was surprised. I don't know how tall Woodley was, but I was actually surprised to see how they were almost the same height. I didn't realize that either Woodley's a lot shorter.
No, I think
Yeah,
they're both.
taller
I think
was, or
they're
Gilbert's a
both
lot
5'9".
taller.
No, I think they're both 5'9". I think officially. So
Yeah, because I always thought like Woodley was like 5'10", 6 feet, and I'm like,
No,
it's Gilbert.
well,
I
that's
never
the
realized.
thing. I think I remember, which was insane if you were to do it, but I remember Conor McGregor one time had a confrontation with Woodley, and Woodley was like, after he won a fight, Woodley was said, "Man, I'll take that fight right now." He's like, "We can hook that up," but Conor McGregor would be stupid to take that fight because I think that I don't think he's going to fight at 170 anymore. I think that he took the Cowboy fight because Cowboy was an ex-155er, and so was Conor, and it was a get back into it. It was a throw, whatever you call it, a throwback fight or a startup fight for Conor to get back into it. I think everyone knew that he was going to beat Cowboy, even though Cowboy is tough. I just think that it wasn't so much of a threat. But I don't think that Conor should stay at 170. I don't think he's got the size to be able to mess with. Look at Usman. Look how big Usman is compared to Conor.
Yeah.
I think if Conor fights at 170, it's gonna be against other guys that used to fight lightweight, like Jorge Masvidal or
right.
Even when he fought Nate, right? Nate used to be a lightweight as well. So he's gonna be fighting guys like that.
Yeah, but I think that I don't see if he. Who knows if he's going to stay at 170? Maybe he'll bulk up and maybe he'll still have the same power. I don't know, but I think it would be smart if Conor, went down to. I would love to see whether Gaethje wins or not against Khabib. I would love to see a Gaethje Conor fight because I think that Gaethje would destroy him. I think that Gaethje put on such a show against Tony Ferguson. I don't think that Conor can take the type of beating that Tony did, which I never even thought that Tony would be able to take that beating. But
the thing is that Gaethje is very Gaethje has. I mean, he showed a lot of improvement with his defense, but for most of his career, he's been known for being pretty hittable. He's been knocked out a few times already, so his chin's not. He doesn't have an iron chin either. Conor's very good, but Conor's known for his accuracy. Or landing. That's why he be down so easily. He's really good at fighting that chin, laying those bombs from the right place. And Justin gets hit a lot, even in the fights where he wins. So I'm not. I think Gaethje would actually be easier to fight. Not saying that Conor would win, but he would be a better matchup for Conor than someone like Khabib. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right.
We could all dream. Because I would like to see all those fights. The rematch of Khabib versus Gaethje.
Mark, I have to ask you a question. I don't know if this could be just a Facebook thing but is it true that there's actually a possibility for Conor to fight Silva?
I don't know. I saw that too on Facebook. I don't know if that's real or not. I think Silva is asking for it, right?
I'm not sure who asked for it.
I think Anderson Silva asked for it. I just don't know if it's true or not. But I would watch it.
I don't know.
I would watch it.
I would watch it too. I mean, I like that matchup. It would be a stand-up war, and I, if Silva's in decent shape, I think he would have the length to keep him at bay.
Yeah,
I think he would catch him.
Let's see. Yeah, I really don't know if that's real or not. But yeah, I saw that on Facebook too. But I'm not sure. Just like I heard John Jones and Dana got into a little argument over money, obviously. So that he's saying that he's asking. I don't know if this is true. That John Jones is asked to be released from the UFC. Well, where's he going to go? UFC is the only one that's during the COVID thing that's actually able to pull anything off. Bellator's not able to pull anything off.
Whether John Jones leaves or stays, he'll be around. I think that these are negotiations. These are threats, negotiations. I think I think everyone knows that it's best if John Jones stays in the UFC because he's still well liked in the UFC. I honestly think that John Jones his last fight. I think it was a close fight, but I think that he lost, and I think he's ducking, his.
The other guy.
Oh, okay.
He's getting an order in. He's making money, man. He's multitasking. Got to give it to him. He's doing a podcast.
He's always multitasking. He could be having a full blown on conversation about jiu-jitsu, and he could be playing a video game winning.
Yeah. So Steve, we got a question for you, because I don't know if this is true. Is it true about that? I saw a Facebook post. I don't know if it's fake or not. That Anderson Silva is asking McGregor for a fight.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in any of the MMA blogs or news sites I follow. So
it's probably fake, right?
What was the source?
Oh, it's just a Facebook post I saw with a picture on it. I don't know.
Did they even link to anything?
No. They just said Anderson Silva's looking to fight McGregor.
Wait, but what was the Facebook page though? Was it for a website, an MMA website, or something else?
No, it was just a picture. I don't know who posted it. I don't know. It might have been an MMA forum that I'm in. And what are your thoughts on John Jones? His little spat with Dana. He's having a little spat with Dana because he wants about that. What's that guy's name? Because they're trying to put that fight together between him and Francis.
Francis Ngannou?
Yeah.
I honestly think that would be an interesting fight. I just don't know if it would be smart for John Jones at this point. It's smart for Ngannou. I mean, that's a money fight. But I honestly don't think that John Jones does too well with guys who are his size or bigger and have more strength. I mean, look at his last opponent.
Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
Ngannou doesn't really have good grappling, right? I can see John Jones controlling him, taking him down for 5 rounds. I can see that happening.
Yeah, you heard about the spat between him and Dana, though, right? Between John Jones and Dana.
Something to do with money.
Yeah. He asked for X. Dana says that's unrealistic considering the environment because they're not. If they have it soon, it's not going to be an arena where they can sell tickets because of the Corona lockdown. It's just going to be pay-per-view. So they're not going to make as much money. Although they might because it's the only thing to watch, but who knows? Yeah, I've heard the little spat for sending text, and then he called Dana a liar. I didn't go on because I heard about it through YouTube, but I didn't see Dana White's side of it. Supposedly Dana White's like going off on it too, but so Sal thinks Jones may lose. Who do you think would win if they would go at it?
I think if it was Francis Ngannou and Jones, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I honestly, I would have to lean towards Jones only because he has the ability to fight standing up and also on the ground. If Ngannou is able to move and not get taken down, then definitely Ngannou. I think Ngannou would take it. But I know, I think Steve was saying before that Jones would probably, fake standing up and then boom, take him down. And he would take him down. And then if Ngannou got a little bit tired, then it would be a lot easier to move around the punches. Jones wouldn't lose his strength as fast as Ngannou. And I think it would probably take, I don't think it would be a very quick submission. I think it would take probably a couple of rounds for Jones to tire him out. Ngannou is bigger and stronger than any guy that he's ever fought. But look how well that Jones did not do against his last opponent.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of difficulty taking him down. And Ngannou is even bigger. Now I don't know how great
I mean, the guy was a better wrestler though. Ngannou has he has a tendency to gas out. His grappling is very questionable. So even if Ngannou definitely has a strength advantage, I don't know. I don't know that's enough to nullify the wrestling and grappling edge. So.
Yeah. No, Steve's probably right. I mean, the other his last opponent was a better wrestler, obviously. But if Ngannou's going to take this fight, he better do nothing else other than take down.
Yeah,
Well, we could all dream. So hopefully, Dane, if you're listening to this, have Ganji Vice Connor and Ngannou fight Jones. All right, guys. Let me let you go. I appreciate having you guys back on the show. Everybody who's listening to this, we'll be back after this short break.
Thanks, Mark. It was great.
Yep.
All right. Later, guys. Have a happy Sunday.
You too.
Take care.
All right, guys. We'll be right back, but first a word from our sponsors.
During World War II, I was in prison in a Nazi camp. I died there, or so I thought. Instead, I became a creature of the dark world. Now I fight to protect my daughter. I am Marcus the Vampire. The book is now available at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com and RetortoFamilyBooks.com.
All right, guys. This week's episode is done on a live show. But if you happen to be listening to this in a podcast format, keep listening because there's more content to follow. All right, guys. See you guys next week.